Hello there, my name is Louis, aka Louis the Frenchie Monette, and you are watching Schmoedown Night In Canada, episode 6. Alright, so we got a jam-packed episode for you. We're talking about the live event, and we also have a very special guest. We have a sneak peek preview for you. It's Emily Rose Jacobson. Tomorrow's episode, we're going to have the full interview, but stay tuned for a little sneak peek of what we'll have for you today. Alright, so kicking off the show with me, the usual, my man, Mr. Soda. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, Louis. Yourself?
It's been a long day, a lot of work, but I'm here.
Yeah, I hear you. It's been a long day for me, too.
All right, so I know you're a busy man. We're going to go ahead and start right off the bat. Let's start with the usual way we start, our top moments of the week. This would be live event. What would be your smashing, like, wow, this happened moment?
For me, it would be the promos that Dagnino and Roca cut, because as they originally advertised, there were going to be no promos, but as usual, Dagnino had to get in there, and Roca said, no, you're not going to top me. That was probably one of my definite best favorite moments from this past live event.
We'll talk about that in a couple of seconds. At my end, is how disappointed I was with Damon.
Really?
Yeah, I was expecting something off. I don't know. It's just the buildup of Star Wars, how dominant he is, right? It probably unfair on my end, but I was expecting something, wow, blow your mind, and I didn't happen. So my top moment is my disappointment. I was expecting something a bit more polished.
Okay, so you felt like the bar was way too high for him, and okay, fair enough.
I think Roxy invested maybe too much, because Star Wars is good, but you only get 4 points at a small amount of matches, and she's banking on Inner Geekum, and I don't think he's going to be that much of a bankable player in Geekum.
I don't know. I think he can prove you wrong. Like he played really, really well, and he's only can go up from here.
He played well, but he still showed his kinks, I find.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's the first time I've ever seen him miss any questions, but that's going to happen.
Yeah, true. Okay, so let's go for the promos. Go into more detail, like what exactly got your attention?
I don't know. It's just it kind of guess it was to the inside of what the problems there are in the Finstock exchange, which we know the problems are there. So yeah, just to see Dagnino and say, ignore the mandate of no promos and go into it, and Roca's like, no, son, don't do that. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It just kind of added for me. It added to the event. Yeah, more stakes, I guess.
Yeah, more steaks and less ribs.
yeah, no kidding.
So no, I don't know if that was planned, right? If it's something Harloff and him them talked about, like, oh, say we'll do no promos and we'll accentuate, or Finstock does what Finstock does.
I believe it was not planned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from what I gathered, it wasn't planned.
And another standout moment in my end is a very unexpected moment. Something that I have a bit more in detail now of what happened, but is Robert Parker going on stage.
Yes, yeah, that was pretty surprising.
Yeah, he was interesting. He didn't hit it 100%, but it was still a nice little nugget of what to expect with his character.
Yeah, I think he's going to be actually a pretty good heel, and I think him and Kaiser are going to work very well together.
Yep, I agree. Kaiser still hasn't shown what he can do, but again, his force is the Inner Geekdom, right? Robert Parker, Smets, they haven't put to the test, and that's their main core is built around them. So yeah, I can't wait to see what Kaiser does.
Yeah,
all right. Kidding. So that being said, we're going to go to our interview. Now we got something really special for you. A sneak peek, we'll say around 10 minutes, of a full 50-minute interview with, you and Emily Rose Jacobson. Enjoy.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your friendly neighborhood Soda here from the Schmoedown North with a very special guest for you all tonight. I have with me Emily Rose Jacobson.
Hello.
How are you doing? How are you doing tonight, Emily?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's a beautiful day up here in northwestern British Columbia, so I can't complain.
It's been a pretty nice day in LA too. I was just talking about that to Adam downstairs. I was like, "Oh, this is a very nice day."
Yeah, it started off with a little bit of slushy snow this morning, which I didn't like, but it turned into a very nice sunny day. So, thank God.
Wonderful.
All right, so yeah, let's get this thing started. So, first off, how did you get involved with the Schmoedown, and can you give the listeners a better picture of who you are outside of the Schmoedown, and also what makes you want to keep playing?
Sure. Well, I got into the Schmoedown because it was Adam Hlavik who introduced me. When we started dating, he told me one day, he's like, "So I compete in." I kind of had heard of the movie Trivia Schmoedown, and when we were dating, he was like, "Oh, I compete in it, and I've got to go do a match. Do you want to come to a filming with me? Do you want to come see me do my match?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I went there and I watched him do Inner Geekdom, and I was like, "Oh." I got bit by the Schmoedown bug and immediately was like, I want to do this. And so I remember he introduced me to Christian after that. I came back for another one of his matches, and Christian came up to me and said, all right, before his match even started, he's like, I want you to keep track of how many answers you get right from watching Adam's match. And so I did. I did about halfway. I got about half and half just without studying. And we talked later, and he's like, great, we want to get you into the Schmoedown. So then I started. That was my introduction to Inner Geekdom. I believe my first match was, around this time last year. That was my first match. Yeah, against Winston Marshall.
Yes, I do
which was
remember
really,
that.
really fun.
Yeah.
And that was a TKO for my first match. So that was great.
Yeah, no kidding.
Trying to think of the second. Oh yeah, the second part of the question. Who am I outside of the Schmoedown? Well, I'm an actor. I'm a host. I'm a writer, and I'm a gamer. So I'm an entertainment jack of all trades. I am actually a video games contributor for Geek Girl Authority, and so I am constantly going to I'm going to I go to E3. I go to all these big gaming conventions as media to cover them. And I've also hosted the E3 satellite media tour last year. So that was really, really neat. Yeah, I love games. I love gaming. I'm a huge gamer nerd. So I really hope that video games movies get added to the Inner Geekdom Schmoedown. I think they should. I think that should definitely be an Inner Geekdom category.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I also do improv as well.
Nice.
I'm a GM. I'm a game master and a performer on Hyper RPG on Twitch.
Yes, I've seen a few of those episodes. Yes.
Yes, I just did a Witcher RPG earlier this year, and that was really, really fun.
Yeah, I'm in a community theater here, and one of my castmates actually just moved to town, and a bunch of us were hanging out after the show, and she revealed to us that she's actually a paid DM. So after our play is done, she's actually going to lead a campaign for us, and I'm like, oh my God.
That's awesome. I love that there's like DMs for hire out there. I think that's so cool.
I didn't know that was a thing until she mentioned it. I was like, that's pretty cool. So yeah, you mentioned you do improv. How much has that helped you in the Schmoedown?
I think it's helped with a lot, especially since especially with doing the live show. I think the live show was the biggest time where, because I have a BFA in theater performance, so I'm a bachelor of fine arts in theater, so that my stage experience really did help me for the live show in Atlanta. For the most part, my nerves got a little bit of the best of me during the second round when I had to pick. For some reason, the fact that I had to pick two different things just threw me. But yeah, just being on that stage and just being like, all right, no, yeah, this is Emily's playground. Like, this is a place I am familiar with. So just feeling confident up there. And yeah, it's just the improv of thinking of fun lines on the spot to tell your opponent, thinking of fun kind of quick little jabs, and then being silly as well. I think my improv has really helped me kind of navigate the Schmoedown, definitely.
Yeah, no kidding. You do seem very comfortable up on the stage. That's one of the things that I actually picked up the most on at the live event. Now, speaking of which, how does a day preparing for the live event compare to a day preparing in the studio? Like, what are the main differences?
Oh, well, definitely I had a hotel room all to myself.
Nice.
So that was very nice. I woke up, I went downstairs for some free breakfast, and then I essentially just went back upstairs. As I was getting ready, I just was kind of psyching, getting myself in the zone. I called. My parents were like, oh, we want to talk to you beforehand. So just talking to them too. But yeah, just going over my notes. I have a really great note cards app on my phone. And then the night before, the television at the hotel actually had YouTube on it. So this entire time, ever since they introduced the rule where they're going to actually reuse questions from previous Inner Geekdom matches, I've gone through almost every single Inner Geekdom competition now, and I've written down all the questions and answers. So that's what I was finishing. I was finishing up a little bit more of that on Friday night. And then, Saturday was just kind of getting myself in the zone, doing some extra studying. And then once we were at the venue, that's when kind of the nerves were setting in. It was like, oh, yep, we're doing this. This is happening. This is tonight. And it was really nice I was in the green room with Ben. And so it was really nice because Ben was talking to me and we were just talking about strategies for his match and for my match. And that was really nice. I've never really had that before, being in a group for the first time, having been drafted into the exchange. That was really, really nice and special because Adam's usually been with me for all my matches. So this was the first match he wasn't there, but I had the entire exchange because I'm a part of that faction now. So that was really, really awesome.
That's one thing I wanted to ask you. Like, obviously you were a rookie last year. How, like, being a part of a faction, it definitely must have changed the way you approach the game and in terms of how you're studying. Like, I'm assuming like they're all giving you like pointers and stuff because they've all done live events and what have you, right?
Oh yeah, we have a very nice group chat where we all just talk about each other's matches. We talk about upcoming matches. We talk about study strategy. We talk about each other's opponents' weaknesses and strengths and whatnot. And it really has made the game that much more exciting and personal for me. And it's so awesome. Like all of those guys just in Atlanta had my back. And so I think that was really was awesome too. Not only did we have this incredible movie trivia Schmoedown matchup right after Inner Geekdom with all these amazing Finstock players, but that was something that was really special, was having them all there too, not just in text form, but physically there. Like, we're gonna walk out. We all want to walk out with you. We're gonna walk out with you. We're there to support you. And like, just after I came off of my match, they're like, you gave a really good match, and just it was such a nice like bonding time to get to know my faction.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, honestly, I can't think of a better way to have your first live event than to have your faction mates there, and especially like 3 of the greatest players to ever play the game too.
Oh my gosh, that was an insane match right after the movie.
No kidding. Like, I wasn't able to watch it live because I was on stage when it aired. But yeah, definitely, I'm sitting there by breakfast, like chopping down my cereal, like on the edge of my seat. Like that is how you want a match like that to go.
Oh my gosh, the quick fire round was insane between Ben and Dan. Ben was just like da 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 da.
Yeah, no kidding. And so what was the backstage like throughout the day? Not just like you said for you, but like what did you notice with everybody? Like, what was the atmosphere like?
It definitely was. We all got there and it was like just kind of figuring out when we got there, like, all right, here we go. But then, both Ben and Dan were in their own rooms and Alex was in his own room. So I was actually in the room with Ben since that's where Bobby Finstock, my manager, or Dagnino was. And so I was with them in that room. And it was just like, it was really, really focused. Watching Ben prepare for his match and hearing his strategy was like, oh, this is awesome. And he actually, it was really funny. We were going over some Star Trek questions before my match. And for some reason, I kept forgetting Justin Lin's first name. I just couldn't, I was remembering Lin, just couldn't remember Justin. I knew it started with a J. Kept saying John for some reason. So he said, all right, let's think of a memory pattern with that. And lo and behold, I get asked about who directs Star Trek Beyond, and of course it's Justin Lin. And after my match, Ben was like, "Yes, we did that. That was what we worked on beforehand." And that has happened to me. That happened to me in my last match too. I think my last match, I got like 2 different Star Trek Beyond questions, and Adam and I had just watched the movie that previous night.
Nice. It's almost like it's Kismet.
I know. There's definitely some Twilight Zone-y like
no
moments in Schmoedown.
So one thing a lot of the fans and myself have noticed, you are a very positive person. You definitely have a positive attitude, and that positivity shines through even when you lose. Do you think it's important to have that when competing?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it comes down to 2 different things. The first is I'm getting to do movie trivia and geeky trivia for fun. Like, how awesome is that? It's remembering that, and that helps calm my nerves. Just remembering like, hey, I'm here to have fun. My my competition's here to have fun. The more I have fun, the better the match will go, the better I'll look. And just the more energy I get to give back to this amazing audience and this amazing group of people that's watching. And then the second reason why I'm like so positive too, even like you said, after I maybe a match doesn't go my way, is because a big part of improv is mistakes are gifts or failures are gifts.
Yeah.
And it is in failing that we learn. When you win, you don't learn anything. I had a professor in college who said, once you're not getting any notes, that's when you should be worried. Because if you're getting notes, that means that a director or a person thinks that you have room for improvement. So even though a loss can be rough, I've noticed that with each of my games, I'm getting better and better. And for me, I'm like, that is such a celebratory thing.
Of course.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Emily, for your time. And we really appreciate the full interview. You're really a cool cat. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, no, that's one thing I want to say. She was definitely a great first interview for me, and I could have picked couldn't have had a better person. And she is somebody I want to follow to see where she goes because she's good people.
Most definitely. So you saw the preview. Can't wait for you to see the whole thing. It's amazing. But look, on to the next part. We got our special correspondent coming back for the second time. Who do we have, sir?
We have Mr. Rob Clark with his thoughts on the Emily Rose Jacobson and Alex Damon IG match.
All right. Thank you very much. You need more coffee, sir.
Yeah.
So on to Rob Clark. Again, thank you very much for saying yes to be our correspondent again. Here we go.
Hey guys, Rob the Snark from Winnipeg. Couple of thoughts about the Alex Damon versus Emily Rose Jacobson match. First off, if you watched the live stream, the audio was not great, but Nerd Chronic did a hell of a job cleaning it up for the rewatch. Match starts with Emily Rose Jacobson coming out, Finstock exchange with Dagnino and the Outlaw and VC. Dagnino cuts an epic promo about the 3 C's of the Finstock Exchange and inventing the manager's wheel. And next out was Damon with his wife and, of course, Roxy Stryer, who cuts an equally good promo, really going after Dagnino, quickly becoming the best rivalry of the new season, I believe. As for the match itself, it was all right. Damon didn't impress as I hoped he would. Seemed to struggle with Harry Potter having to go to multiple choice each time. As for Emily Rose Jacobson, just left way too many points off the board. The Raiders of the Lost Ark question. Of course, having to go to multiple choice in her own category of Star Trek, only picking up 4 points there. It's not a successful formula. After the match, we got our first look at Robert Parker on a Schmoedown stage. This kid was poised. I thought he was confident on the mic. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he has coming up this season. Alex Damon going forward, he'll be a good player. As far as any kind of Star Wars League success in Inner Geekdom, that is yet to be seen. All right. Thanks, guys.
He's in the Finstock Exchange. Guess who had 2 matches? Oh, it was Dan Murrow and also my man, the defending champion. Now, that being said, defending champion, let's go spoilers all the way. What a match.
Yeah,
Dan
no
Murrow wins
kidding.
it.
That was everything I wanted to be and more. You could have asked for a better main event. It was definitely, as a wrestling fan, it was WrestleMania main event caliber.
Oh, yeah. And, okay, so before the match, first of all, who did you put your money on?
It was Dan, just because Dan's never really let me down, and he was undefeated going into live events. Like he's never lost a live event, and he's never lost the match where he went going for the title. So you couldn't go against him. Like who were you rooting for?
Dan too.
Yeah.
As much as I love Ben, he's a future GOAT. He is last year's GOAT. but he is not even close to what I personally think is the overall goal, probably for a long, long time, which is that Merle.
Merle is the Gretzky of the Schmoedown.
Yep. Yeah, plain and simple. But actually, I would say he's the Maurice Richard of
even old school. Rest in peace to his brother Henri.
Yes, for sure.
Big bucket to win.
He's the old school. Like Maurice Richard for a long time stayed, even with the Gretzkys and the Jagers and the Lemieux. He was the OG superstar of the NHL. And same thing for Dan Merle. I mean, who, like, so rare players go from a 5-point deficit to actually win the match, let alone a championship match with all that pressure. That was hell of a performance from Dan, and congrats to him to keeping his cool and making the smartest choices, like a 0 point on a betting round.
Oh, 100%. You could tell he was in the game just when he started off the match with the adding the Sir and the Lord. Like, you could tell, okay, he's dialed in. And even when he was 5 points down, I was not worried whatsoever. He had it.
Oh, I was worried because me and my girlfriend betted on who's going to do dishes, and she took Ben and I took Dan's. So I was like, we had a pile of dishes. Like, I don't want to do those dishes, but it was interesting to see because Dan didn't seem worried, but you can see. I'm sure that in the back of his head, he still was probably wondering, like, what's going on? Am I able to do this? Because, like we said, it's such a rare event. Someone goes from that far behind to actually win it, especially he had a lead in round one. Yeah. And the speed round, he got, decimated.
Oh, for sure.
Bravo to Ben. Yeah. He really, really practiced it. It showed.
Yeah, that's definitely when Ben showed his prowess. The thing about Merle is what I like is he's not overly arrogant, and so he probably didn't go into this match taking anything for granted. He does not seem like that type of player at all. Yeah. Before we start, what did you think of the new rule change that was announced before the match? How the loser does not get a point in a title match if it's I believe if it's the same faction.
It's logical. It's logical because it would favor too much one faction if you have a lot of champions like the Finstock Exchange. So it's just a great way to make sure that the league is nice and equal. That there's not too much of an advantage. So I'm completely down. What about you?
I had no problem with it. It makes sense. That way, if factions may face each other, there's less likely chance of them throwing it, which I doubt any of these guys would do, but I mean, it definitely takes that off the table.
Yep, definitely. Going back to the match, that being said, in your opinion, did Dan win this match, or did Ben lose this match?
No, I think Dan won because Ben was just firing on all cylinders. I don't think Ben lost it for himself. It was definitely Dan just was more knowledgeable.
I'll actually say the contrary, and for one specific point.
All right.
I say Ben lost it because even though he was really good at the speed round, the 1 point he lost by like going way too fast on the Black Panther.
Oh, yeah.
Like when he said, I think it was Avengers or something, when he said like the whole Oscar question.
Yeah.
Way too fast. He probably shot himself in the foot right there.
Fair enough. I didn't really think about that. That's a good point.
And also, especially in the live event, you saw it more than the YouTube one, but you can see Roca and Finstock pacing so much,
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't watch the replay.
Okay, but yeah, actually, you saw it more in the live event that they were pacing a lot, and you can see that even if they're in the same faction and they still get the points, it's not just about the points of factions for them. They have this, internal beef that we all know now exists. Yeah. Especially added drama with the whole spinner choice and.
Yeah, where do you fall on that?
Yeah, let them be. If a strategy, it shoots against everyone who does it anyway, so it's at your own risk and peril. But if it's your strategy, it's your strategy. Yeah. And Roca said something interesting, and I think it was the backstage or SCN Live, that he's against it, but he respects the people who are for it.
Yeah.
no one's right, no one's wrong. It's just a way of playing the game. But I don't think it should be a rule. I don't think that something should be forced. It's at the champion's advantage and choice to do so.
Yeah, no, I personally have no problem with it, just because, like you said, it is the champion's advantage, and also there was a time where it was on there was no choice given. So I mean, I don't personally have an issue with it whatsoever.
Exactly, and at the end of the match, how can I say this? The interviews were interesting because you could feel the tension, but you could feel also the relief.
Yeah.
And like it's points for the faction. The faction is off to an amazing start, even though they're about to implode eventually. If they can survive their internal want to choke each other, they are off to a great start. But the dynamics are so weird.
Yeah, it's definitely an alpha group. There's too many alphas. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, as much as I love the guy, the problem is Finstock.
Oh, of course. Great manager just doesn't really think sometimes.
Yeah, well, he thinks. Yeah, I wonder if he likes to put fire in the fuel in the fire and just see what happens.
Maybe.
It makes for great commentary. It makes for a great watch.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely, yeah, you're right. It makes for a great show. It makes you wonder just how much of that was like Christian needling them a little bit, like how much of that is real and how much of that is kayfabe,
I also want to point out on Finstock's fashion statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Okay. I love you, Finstock.
Yeah.
But you have to find the rest of that shirt.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Or just not wear it at all like he did at the end of the event, just into the crowd.
Yeah, why not? Like Christian said, he looked like an extra from the Jaws movie,
Yeah.
But, okay, so that's
only one Bobby Gucci. We don't, yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Well, it brings, if we go off track just a tiny bit, it brings a point that will we ever see a manager that is so out of the box like Bobby Gucci? Will we ever see another phenomenon like Bobby Gucci,
Probably not. Just because Tom is, like, as the saying goes, when they made Tom, they broke the mold. He's definitely one of a kind. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever see the likes of him. And honestly, the same of people like Kaiser or Ken when he was managing. Those guys are definitely unique unto themselves. They're often duplicated, very rarely replicated. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I completely agree. At the same time, I think we're gonna get down the years that Schmoedown hopefully will exist. I think we're gonna have as unique characters, but not in the same mode, like you said.
Yeah.
But he definitely is gonna open up the style of the Finstock style,
For sure. If anything, he's gonna inspire a lot of people. But yeah, nobody will ever be able to touch Tom Finstock. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and now we saw her support Merle. We saw her, walk behind her manager. Let's go to Emily Rose Jacobson versus Alex Damon. If you listen to the beginning of the show, I was a bit let down by Damon. I liked Jacobson. She did the best she could. A couple of errors. We'll talk about that later. But I want to focus just a tiny bit on Damon. What were you expecting with him before the show?
I was expecting him to do really good. But it's one of those X Factor things because you don't know just what his strengths are, right? That's the thing with a new player. You don't know much about him. Like, yeah, we've seen him play in Star Wars, and we know that is a strength of his, of course. But when it comes to the other areas of geekdom, it's just like, how well does he know it? So I figured he'd do good, and he definitely met my expectations.
Yeah, he didn't met my expectations. He did good. He definitely knew his stuff, but the things he did not know about really showed, though.
Yeah.
For sure that the other factions are going to listen and analyze more and more his matches because there's a lot to figure out. And honestly, unless he really finds a strategy with Roxy, I'm not putting him top 5 in DIG. I am not putting him. There's so many new potentials like Dan Murrell and Robert Parker and Kalinowski that's gonna, probably try to get his belt back, that I don't think there's room for him as a top 5.
Oh, fair enough. And I honestly, I wasn't expecting him to be perfect at all. I wasn't expecting the Star Wars killer that we see. So that's why I said he met my expectations.
All right. And yeah, on to the girl you interviewed.
Yeah.
To be honest, before the Schmoedown, I kind of remember her a bit, but she never really like stood out.
Yeah.
But she stood out, and yes, for her performance, she did a good performance. But I liked her. There's something about putting her in a live event, seeing her more with the crowd, being pumped up, that really made me excited to see her in the long run.
And that's actually one of the things we did touch about in the interview is she's actually a theater major. So that helps quite a bit in those settings. And so she said she has done improv. So it definitely, she said she was at home. So you could definitely tell that was her natural habitat, so to speak. Felt very comfortable on the stage. Of course, there was like the error of giving Damon the Wizarding World, but it boils down to what I said earlier. When you don't know somebody's strengths, it's really hard to determine what they're good at, what they're not. So yeah, but overall, Emily did very good.
And talk about like the opponents and spinners. Yeah, she was lucky on that, but again, unlucky on the results. Let's talk about when she took her strengths. What she was considering taking her strengths, right?
Yeah.
She was between Marvel and then Star Trek because she just recently studied.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have changed anything if she would have took Marvel, or this was written in the books?
I think it was written in the books. That's another thing we did touch on in the interview. No, she definitely made the right call going with Star Trek, just because I got a feeling we're at that point where those questions would probably be more obscure. So I think going for Star Trek was definitely the right call on that. It's just unfortunately it didn't necessarily go her way. But no, she definitely made the right call.
And do you think, she again doesn't talk crack. Dave, fix that audio. Crack that top 5. But she was a great matchup for Damon, a great test. I definitely want to see her again, but she's going to be a player that's going to add 1 or 2 points to the faction, but not make the overhaul like.
I honestly don't think she's championship caliber yet, but I think as every match goes on, she's gonna get better. And with people in her stable like Roca and Merle and Bateman and Riley, she's gonna be dangerous. So like I said, I don't see her winning the title this year. Next year, I wouldn't be surprised if she does.
Well, you see, I'm gonna go a step further. I say singles IG, no. If ever they introduce a team IG, she's a Matt Nost. She's a Video Drew. That she is a good support player, and it just ends up that there's no teams, but she'd be perfect for it.
Oh, 100%.
I would love to see Roca in a
Roca's an IG team.
IG team. That would be very interesting because I know Roca is interested, but in the singles division of IG, he might have our time because he has so much shedding to do already. But you put him with Jacobson in a team, they might balance each other out.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you this. Do you think we'll ever see an IG tag team title?
Yeah.
You do?
I think eventually they might take off the IG singles just to replace it with a team 1 year.
Really? You think they would do that, huh?
Either that, or once Star Wars goes away, it gets replaced by teams.
I got a feeling eventually they will, just because of the whole new Skybound deal and whatnot. They'll be able to pull in the resources to do that, because it will get to a point where the questions are going to become so niche that you're going to need to have more people scouring the depths of geekdom to get questions, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like, imagine the possibilities. You would have players that would never venture alone, but would feel confident to do so, Imagine who, let's say everything gets shuffled, right? Who do you see Dan Murrell team up with?
In IG?
Teams,
if you were like on another
Season.
faction
Yeah.
in another season, another faction.
Yeah.
I know you said Roka, but I think he would do good with Emily,
Okay.
or I would like to see him with like a Robert Parker.
Okay. Yeah, well, Robert Parker's a beast. I don't know,
Yeah.
like if you've seen his matches, he stands on his own. But with Damaro and Robert Parker, oh boy, that's a bulldozer team.
Yeah, that would be the IG version of the Founding Fathers. Like it would be, it'll be a legacy team.
You see, my version of the Founding Fathers IG wise would be Mike Kalinowski with Damaro.
Oh man,
Yeah, that because Mike Kalinowski, when he crashes and burns, he crashes and burns. But when he's on point, and I think Dan Murrow's is one of those players that can bring someone on point every single match.
For sure.
You know, that would be a killer team.
Oh.
Let's go back on track.
Yeah.
Back to the match of Jacobson versus Damon.
Yeah.
She's on the board. Roxy on the board. She definitely deserves because you can see she cares. You know.
Yeah, she does. She does care. But it's one of those things like she made it out to be Roxy versus Dagnino instead of kind of focusing on the match in the terms of the promo. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A lot of people talk about Robert Meyer Burnett being very, inwards. But I've been realizing that Roxy's very vendetta-wise and very inwards also, and doesn't always, she brings the attention of the players, but it's very centered on her,
Yeah.
So I'm starting to see that. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, it makes for a good show. It makes for an interesting watch. But at the same time, is it fair for players? No.
No, not really. And she's definitely bringing the East Coast attitude to her character because she's Boston through and through. And as a Canucks fan, you know how I feel about Boston.
Yeah, well, you know how I feel, but I even have a better history against Boston. So original 6, baby.
Yeah.
But Roxy, the only thing missing is a baseball bat. She likes to hit where it really hurts, and she really knows how to hit Dagnino because Dagnino is rare that you see him lose his cool.
Yeah, and he did on backstage. Like that was just insane.
But but at the same time, it's sad to say, with the whole pick of like JTE and etc., like big question marks.
Yeah,
I'm afraid for Roxy because Damon is really good Star Wars. He's okay in IG so far, but he's no Smets, he's no Robert Parker.
No.
So you can't concentrate in IG racking up your main points. Where does she rack up her points?
Odd couple. Right? She has the odd couple, and and you're right. Unless she has like a diamond in the rough, it's gonna be very tough because we know JTE is a good player. Unfortunately, will only be playing in the Boston Live event when and if they announce that.
And maybe a tournament,
Maybe, yeah. But he lives, I think, Wisconsin now, so I mean it's one of those things like, okay.
Unless they permit Skype matches,
Yeah, no kidding.
But the same could be said for Video Drew. Look how that turned out. She found a job. She was able to transition, and boom, next she's in the league.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, JT is a little bit different. I don't want to get into like the whole backstory of everything that happened. But I mean, there's a reason he left. So.
All right. So let's close out the match the conversations. I just want to go into a slight what if situations for the competitors. What is your opinion on who's going to face Dan Murrow next? Out of
the two, or just in general?
The next matches coming up. Out of the possibilities, you got Roka.
Yeah.
I think it's Jeff Snyder, if not mistaken.
In IG, Jeff Snyder is not doing IG.
No, I'm talking about singles.
Oh, you're talking in terms of the title. Oh, okay, gotcha.
The next match is coming.
Who would be? That is a tough question. Honestly, if he does singles, Kalinowski.
Okay, all right.
Because that is definitely a what if match that would be awesome to see. Like you thought Ben and Merle was good. I think Kalinowski Merle could be just as good.
I think it's Roca.
Oh yeah, okay.
I think he's gonna win his next 2 matches, and he's definitely ready to take that belt back, and it would make for an interesting story. And again, another civil war, but maybe with a bit more friendly tones. But again, who manages the matches? That's going to be another issue.
Yeah, no kidding. You can't have the other member of the founding father managing because they're both on stage. So that one I could see Dagnino managing Merle and then Riley managing Roca.
I say it completely good choice because you want to balance it out.
Yeah, and also there is like they respect each other, but there is issues between Bateman and Roca. So that's why I think Riley would be the better choice.
I say maybe even practice your other players, use your newbies. You got the Barbarian, you got Emily Rose Jacobson, you got other people, even though they're not main players like superstars. You got to get a neutral party to start practicing to manage that is not true. In the Five Horsemen, that is not in the depth of the controversies.
No, that is a good point. Then I think Emily would actually be a pretty good manager for Roca.
Yeah, she first of all has a feminine touch. Probably knows how to connect with people. She seems like a very positive person, which seems like to be a very important thing when you manage.
Yeah, and Roca definitely needs it. And also they both have the theater background, so they can definitely focus on strategy on how to, handle the whatever nerves there are or whatever.
What is Ben Bateman's next challenge? To see if he can get up there again.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually ends up in another number one contender match next. That's usually what happens, unless scheduling conflicts. But that's probably what it is. I don't see him facing Bibiani for that, just because I think Bibiani had his shot. I could see Oyama Bateman rematch for the number one contender shot because Oyama hasn't had his rematch yet, so I think that's going to be the next match.
Okay, Oyama makes complete sense. He's definitely, especially if he wins with Lon Harris coming up.
Yeah, and he's got something to prove because he got his ass handed to him at the Spectacular, so he's got something to prove against Bateman.
I completely agree. You know who else has something to prove right now?
Who?
Paul Preston.
Yep.
Paul Preston versus Ben Bateman. I call it. I say it would be the perfect match because he's still top 5 right now.
Yeah.
He's an amazing player, but he's had rough luck against Deep 13. But he needs to prove. He needs to start a season with a bang and prove that he's not a fluke. And he's not one of those teams or one of those players that's gonna have 32 points but always lose.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And what about for IG for Damon to prove me wrong, to prove that he's a top competitor? Who do you shoot him up with?
I'm trying to think who is still around that is a formidable IG competitor. I'd go Hlavik.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd go Hlavik.
Hlavik. But yeah, that's
Emily Rose's boyfriend. Yeah.
So avenge the Rose.
Yeah, well, not just that, but I mean, Hlavik has proven he's a solid IG player. So I think that would definitely be a good stepping stone for Damon to get to that next level. And then for Emily, I would like to see her take on one of the new guys. Which one? I don't know just yet because I'd have to watch them. But I would like to see her take on one of the newbies.
Okay. There's 2 people I want to see, that they still have to prove themselves in IG, and would be a good, I say, on the same level as Damon, potentially would be their Chance, because I want to see him again in IG. Chance didn't make that much of a mark, but I know that he has something in him to prove, and I think Damon has something to prove that he can continue on upwards, and also Dan Merle's first IG match.
Dan Merle's first IG match.
Against Damon, I mean.
Oh, against Damon? You think?
Yeah.
You think so?
I say yeah,
Okay.
because Damon is very hyped, and proven that he can do things. I say Damaro has as much hype for potential IG. You put them together, see who can really rise up.
Yeah. What's funny is what I said earlier, Kalinowski and Merle for the title. What I want to see is actually even more so is Kalinowski, Merle, and IG, because the GOAT is coming into the killer's yard, and yeah, like he wants to keep him down. That would be more fun, I think.
Okay, that definitely would be like going in his territory, something to prove, especially now, like 3 belts. Aim, First of all, we forgot to mention this, but congrats to him to be 4 belts, 4th win, and 2 times double belted. Again, it's
2 times double belted.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, yeah.
No, this is his first team title. Yeah, so this is his first time double belted, but I think he's the 4th double belted champion.
Okay,
I think that's what you're thinking of, because Sam did it first. Or no, somebody else did it first.
I think Sam is the first one to do double
Sam.
belted.
Okay, Sam was the first one, and then it was Rachel, and then Kalinowski, and now Merle.
Okay, well, it is 1 o'clock and 1 minute in the morning. So
yeah, touche.
All right, so okay, that pretty much concludes our episode. Now, you saw the tidbit. You can watch tomorrow the full interview with the Rose. Again, my man Matt did an incredible job. We dive in as much as Schmoedown than her personal life. There's a lot to explore, a lot of things I didn't know about her.
Yeah, me neither.
And it's very, very interesting to watch.
Yeah, and she was a peach. She was definitely a peach.
And also, if you made it to the end, you got an extra bonus. I'm going to reveal who we have as a guest for next week. We have the one, the only, the rookie sensation, Mr. Robert the Spider Parker. He is very interesting. We dive deep into his expectations, also what lies in store in his character itself, and a lot of things that are going to be very, very interesting to discover. So stay tuned for next week. Where can we find you, sir?
You can find me all across all the platforms at soda_the_saxman.
Okay.
Find me there.
All right, and me, leave me alone on Facebook. No one talk to me, please. But you can find me on the Schmoes on the North Twitter, aka Norton Schmoes. That's the best way to contact me. So that being said, thank you very much for watching to the end. You have a wonderful night.
All right, well, talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.